Hi, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mrs. Jakubowicz here with something a little bit different for a chapter book read aloud today. And so I'm going to introduce you to webcomics. Now, webcomics are a lot like graphic novels. Now, I know many of you love graphic novels. You love Baby Mouse. You love Rutabaga. You love the Amulet series. You love the Lunch Lady series and Captain Underpants. And so all of those books are called graphic novels because they look like comic strips. So back in the dark ages before the internet, we had comic strips. And in the newspaper, if you subscribe to the newspaper, they looked a bit like just one page of this. So if you can imagine, all right, here. So this would be one comic. All right, it might even be a really short comic and it was only one line. Maybe it was about 4 panels. And so that's where graphic novels came from. Authors and illustrators would tell these stories through those 4 panels or 4 boxes every single week. And the story kind of was told in little pieces. And so webcomics have picked up that tradition. And many of them are told in little tiny pieces. And they might be published, a couple times a week, maybe once a week, maybe only twice a month. And then the authors and illustrators are telling these amazing stories. And they're publishing them now on their websites for free for anyone to read. So I'm going to introduce you to 3 different webcomics that are great for students. They're completely, very funny, like some comics. Some of them are epic journeys. They're fantastic worlds that these storytellers have created. And all of them are definitely safe, they're not too scary for students in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, I would say. However, I always will remind you that if something is a little too intense or if you don't understand something, then maybe it's time to just wait and save that webcomic or that story for a little bit later, maybe when you're a couple years older. Okay, so and always remember that if something is too intense or too scary, please talk it over with a grown-up that you trust. And so let's take a look at these 3 comics. The first webcomic is called Breaking Cat News. Now, I love this comic. I've read about 10 or so of them so far. This one's new to me, but it is so funny. So it's basically the idea that what if you lived with 3 cats as pets, and what if they decided to make a news show about all the things that happen in your house? And so anyone who has a cat, you're going to find some things that are really familiar and really funny in this story. So I'll read a couple of the first couple webcomics, and I'll explain how webcomics work here. So this is a good example of how there are 4 panels in this one. So that you read the top one first, then you do this next level, which is left and then right, and then the bottom level. And then if this happens to be the very first in the story, and then to go to the next one, there's usually something at the bottom that will say next or previous, all right? And the other nice thing about webcomics is that you don't have to read them in order. So there's this random button. You can just roll the dice and get a random webcomic about the same characters, and you'll still be able to enjoy it. You don't have to read them in order. You don't even have to read some before others. So this is Breaking Cat News, and it's by Georgia Dunn. All right, so this is Lupin. The black cat here is Puck, and the Siamese cat is Elvis. Lupin says, "Everything is broken, and we don't know who did it. Over to you, Puck." Puck says, "Thanks, Lupin. This just in. Someone knocked everything off the shelf. Here's Elvis with the full report." "Elvis here. I'm live with experts, where experts are saying someone ate all the flowers and threw up in the hallway." We go back to Lupin. He says, "Great report, Elvis. Up next. What are all these birds doing, and why is their glass in the way?" The next comic, when I hit next, we're back at Lupin. Lupin says, "We have reports coming in from the kitchen that it is 7:31 a.m. on a Saturday, and the food bowl is still empty. Going live now to Puck." Puck says, "It's complete chaos in the kitchen, Lupin. I've never seen anything like it." And Lupin says, "My God, we've sent Elvis into the bedroom. Elvis, what can you see?" Elvis says, "Lupin, these maniacs are out of control." And this is the family that Lupin, Puck, and Elvis live with. Clearly, they're still sleeping in. Last one that I'll read aloud for you. Word on the street is the door to the spare room with the awesome sunspot on the floor was accidentally left open. Elvis says, "We've got a man on the scene, Puck. What can you tell us?" And Puck doesn't say anything. Puck's busy lying on the floor in the sunspot. Lupin says, "Sorry, folks, we seem to be experiencing some technical difficulties. The door to the spare room is usually kept closed because a certain Siamese cat once got locked inside for 12 hours and tried to build a nest out of Christmas ornaments. Elvis, what can you tell us about that?" Elvis looks over and says, "It says here that report is unconfirmed and you should stop bringing it up. Puck, we go now live to you." And Puck still doesn't say anything. Puck is too busy lying in the sunspot. So there's more here. This webcomic was written over many years, in fact, and they did eventually make some of these into a comic book, into a graphic novel. So they have two of them, Lupin Leaps In, and if you scroll down a little farther, I think the first one is just called Breaking Cat News. So those are a lot of fun, and it's a great way to connect with the authors and illustrators as well. A lot of times on these websites, when you're reading a webcomic, there might be a contact form or a way to talk to the author and illustrator to tell them your favorite parts and what you liked about their webcomics. And as you read further in the series, all right, in the webcomics, you learn more about Puck and Elvis and Lupin and all the other friends that they have. So that's one example of a webcomic. The next one is definitely more for older readers, okay? So you can maybe even tell by the design of the website. This is a fantasy journey. This is definitely kind of a really big epic adventure. There's danger, there's monsters, there's magic, there's all kinds of crazy things. And so this one happens to have almost 10 full adventures. Okay, so the first one is here under book 1. So from this sort of bookshelf here, you can click on book 1. And this is in several languages, so make sure you click on the one that has the American or British flag here so that you can read it in English. If you're more comfortable reading in other languages, that's fine. This is called the Wormworld Saga, and this is all digital. So you're actually reading the graphic novel top to bottom. And I'll scroll here really quickly for you. You can see this is all of chapter 1. It just keeps scrolling down, 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 down. Okay, so you start at the top, okay, with the dedication. And here's where the story actually starts. You keep scrolling, and then you get to, sort of after the little prologue part, you get to the chapter section. This would be like the title page or the chapter page. All right, so I don't have time to read over every word in here, but it is really awesome. If you're a fan of any, like, you know, Chronicles of Narnia or any of those worlds where, you know, kids enter another world, then you're gonna love this book. So here's the end of chapter 1, okay? And so then at the bottom there's a button here that says go to the next chapter. So you would click on that next chapter and you can continue reading. So the awesome thing here is that, again, this is a full book. This is multiple novels. This is like the Amulet series, you know, all online and ready for you to read. And so it reads a little bit different with going top to bottom. But if you're used to reading graphic novels, you'll still be used to reading the speech bubbles. Also, if you have a mobile device or you're reading it on a Chromebook, I recommend making it as big as you possibly can. So I would probably read it like this on my screen. That would make the speech bubbles a little bit easier to see. Okay, so I'm going to take that back to there. So finally then, the third one I want to show you. This is Cucumber Quest, and so, which might sound like a funny name, but there are 4 books in this series, and it started as a webcomic, and now there are 4 graphic novels, you know, printed in paper. Oh, sorry, that's the home screen. I'm going to click on characters and show you the different characters. So this is a bunny family. There's Cucumber, the hero of our story. There's Almond, the little sister. There's a Dream Oracle, Sir Tomato, Dame Lettuce, Sir Bacon, Lord Cabbage, Sir Carrot, Saturday, Princess Parfait, and Queen, is in quotes, Cordelia. She's the villain, by the way. Peridot, The Nightmare Knight, Cosmo, oh, we don't know much about them. Princess Nautilus, Splash Master. All right, so those are all of the characters that you would meet in this webcomic, and each of those little cards tells you something or what is known about that character. So to read this webcomic, you would need to click on the archive section, okay? And now I realize this is a little difficult to read, so you want to start with the prologue. All right, chapter 0 would be next. I don't know why it starts with 0. And then chapter 1, there's an interlude, chapter 2. And underneath each of these pictures, you can see there's numbers, okay, separated by like a vertical line. So if I wanted to go to the very first part of the web series, okay, the very first part of the webcomic, I would click on Prologue and 01, okay? So this is sort of before the story starts. You know, sometimes how things are, if I show you in the Baby Mouse book, sometimes there's a little bit of extras before the story actually starts. That's sort of what happens here. And just like with the other webcomics, there's a couple, about 4 panels, maybe 5 panels, and you scroll down to the next section. And again, you get a couple more panels, next section, and each one of these little sections was published in one day, okay? So then you would get, you know, a few days later or a week later, you would get the next section, okay? So there's like the title page of the prologue, all right? And then again, someone's calling Cucumber, dinner's getting cold, and somebody answers, just a sec, Mom. Sorry, just had to double check all the stuff I packed, says Cucumber. So you didn't forget anything, did you? Says Cucumber's mom. Nope, I'm totally ready to move in tomorrow. Are you sure? I know how excited, and it's easy to overlook things. Mom! Oh, I know, you're grown up, sweetie, but I'm still your mother. I can't help it. After all, my little baby's off to the best school in the world. Puffington's Academy for the magically gifted and or incredibly wealthy. I'm so proud. Thanks, Mom. And Dad said all that studying wouldn't be good for anything. I hope I can prove him wrong. Please, Coco, says Almond, her sister. You're the biggest nerd I know. You'll be fine. Thanks, Almond, says Cucumber. Knock, knock. Oh, who could it be this late? It's always when you sit down to eat dinner, says Cucumber's mom. Evening, ma'am. I've got a letter for you. Oh, didn't we already get today's mail? This one's a special delivery. It says Royal Mail on it. And so Cucumber's mom looks at it, and the mail carrier says, well, take care. And Cucumber's mom says, oh, thank you. Who's it from? Dad? Yes, dear, it seems like... Oh, goodness, this is awful. Huh? What is it? Says Cucumber. Or maybe you'd better read it yourself, dear. Let's see. My dearest Bagel, I know it's been too long since my last letter. Forgive me. Now this is Cucumber's dad writing. I haven't been able to write. I fear that even this letter may fall into the wrong hands. But I must send it, no matter the risk. Now I'm going to stop reading there. And if you'd like to read further, you can keep going and hitting the next button to read each new little episode or section of Cucumber Quest's story. And so it's really, all of these are great, amazing graphic novels. They're great illustrations. The art is incredible. And so I recommend them to students who are older and would like to try something a little different, or who are just really craving those graphic novels and maybe aren't getting quite enough of them in Mac and Via, which is understandable. So I hope you'll explore some of these, and if one of them catches your interest, I hope you'll get to read further in the Cucumber Quest, or the Wormworld Saga, or Breaking Cat News. Thanks for listening, everyone, and I'll see you soon. Bye.